What day is it? Coconut Curry Chicken Day. This dish was inspired by Filisticks. They're doing Filipino and Southeast Asian cuisine, and they opened their first food truck in 2008. Fast forward to 2019, they got a downtown restaurant. The first time I actually ever had this was at the Edmonton Folk Festival, and it was so good that I had to recreate it at home. This chicken is amazing, but the slaw that goes with it is just as incredible. First, we gotta make some rice to soak up all that curry goodness. Prepare your rice of choice according to the package directions, but I strongly suggest rinsing your rice. That's my one pro tip around rice for the day. Next, chicken. I'm using boneless skin-on chicken thighs, and the goal is to get the skin super crispy to add some crunch to the dish instead of just getting rid of it. All we're gonna do before we cook them is pat them dry and salt the skin side. One of the golden rules of sauteing is heat up your pan and heat your oil before you cook, but for this we're doing something special, so we're breaking the rules. So normally you would never want to start cooking in a cold pan, but in order to get super crispy skin, we need to render a little bit more of the fat than we normally would. So starting in a cold pan allows more of that fat to melt away before the skin starts to brown, resulting in crisp skin that doesn't get soggy. So in a cold pan, put all your chicken thighs skin down and then turn on the heat just below medium. Now we're gonna mix up the spice mix for our sauce. Half a teaspoon of coriander, 1 tablespoon of yellow curry powder, 1.5 teaspoons of yellow curry paste, and the one that I'm using here is made by My Ploy. 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes. You can leave this out if you don't want it quite as hot, and 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of fresh pepper, and 2 bay leaves. On top of the spice mix, separately we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of fresh minced ginger. 2 pro tips for ginger. One is peel it with a spoon, not with a peeler. I don't know why this works better, but it just does. Second, always cut against the grain of the fibers first so that the fibers are super short. That way, if you're cutting them into matchsticks or blending them or whatever, you won't have those long fibers. It'll be easier to eat. And with the ginger, we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of minced garlic as well. And by now, your chicken should be almost done crisping. Keep an eye on the heat and turn it down a little bit if the pan starts to get a little too hot. Another tip here is don't try to move the chicken until it basically looks like the bottom is starting to brown a little bit, and then you won't have to deal with it sticking. While that chicken is just finishing up crisping, we're gonna make a quick dressing. In a bowl, you're gonna combine 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil, 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of honey, and some salt and pepper to taste. And then we're going to emulsify it with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You can do it the way I do here in a bowl, or you could do it with an immersion blender. It doesn't matter, just as long as you kind of start dripping in the oil slowly while you're whisking. Once your dressing's ready, make sure to get some help taste testing it, and then cut up some fine green onion coins. For the slaw, I'm actually being lazy today and just using some prepackaged stuff, which is fine, but I'm gonna add some green onions and some dried cranberries and almond slices just to spruce it up. Dress up your slaw and let it sit for a few minutes while we finish up cooking the curry. Use as much dressing as you like, and if you are making more than this, you'll probably need to scale it up, because that was about the right amount of dressing for the amount of slaw that I made here. By this time, your chicken should be perfectly crisp. At this point, we're not really worried about cooking the chicken all the way through, because it's going to go back in the sauce later. So as long as the skin looks awesome, you're good. If you did a good job of hitting the heat levels right, you should have some golden skin. Probably went 3 minutes too long on these. You don't need them quite that dark. And you want a bit of pink on the other side, and your pan should have a nice golden fond on it, not burnt. So set your chicken aside, make sure it's skin up so it doesn't soften, and add all your spices, garlic, and ginger to the pan. Unless the fond is burnt, then grab a new pan, because we don't want that flavor. You should still be just under medium heat, and we're gonna let the garlic cook and toast all of our spices for about 2 minutes until they're aromatic. And unfortunately, I don't have smell-o-vision, so you can't smell what this smells like unless you make it, and it's amazing. Next, we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of coconut milk and 3/4 cup of chicken stock. Bring to a boil, turn it down to low heat, and simmer for about 10 minutes so the sauce reduces, gets a little bit thicker, a little bit darker. And then once you're there, we're gonna add our chicken thighs back in. Make sure that they're skin side up and don't let them submerge. You want that skin out of the liquid so it stays crispy. It will only take 2 or 3 minutes to finish cooking in this liquid from the other side, and that's it. Your rice should be perfect at this point, so grab a plate or a bowl and spoon some rice and slaw, and then pour your chicken and sauce over the rice. Garnish with some extra almonds and green onions if you're fancy like that, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and now for some sexy curry shots.